Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name's Ron Tyler. I'm going to wait just a minute until YouTube catches up with my program here, because right now it won't even show me that I'm live here, although I am. Here we go. I am live on the air. As soon as we get some people in the chat here, I will continue on with this program. My name is Ron Tyler. I'm coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kittiac Beach, North Carolina. Richard Smith is here. Sheila Dean is here. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. Demon Catman from the east of England. One of my best friends in my mod here, along with Richard Smith. Both of them mods here. We appreciate each and every one of you being here. Thank you so much. God bless you guys. We appreciate you so much for being here. It means a lot to me. Cassandra Goss is here. F. Garrison is here. First time to catch me live. Thank you much, Mr. Garrison. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And I think it's a lady here. Miss Garrison, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate everybody who has joined us here on this program tonight. We have Rabbit Holes here. Yes, we are live here. We appreciate you here. Miss Garrison says she enjoys my work, and I appreciate that so much as well. Folks, I appreciate you all. It means the world to me, and that's why I'm here live on this channel every day. I'm going to show you a map here. This map is a map that's provided to us by NASA. This map is called FIRMS. FIRMS, Fire Information for Resource Management System, US and Canada. As you can see, we have a lot of fires. Now let me take this other information down and I'll show you exactly what's going on. Over here in the western Alaska area, we have 3 major fires burning. Over here in east central Alaska, we have 2 more major fires burning and several other smaller fires that have occurred throughout Alaska. Going across the border from Alaska into Canada, into the Yukon, we have 3 major fires up here in the north part in Yukon, Canada. We go over here to central Canada, British Columbia, and also Alberta, Canada. We have many other fires here as well. We come eastbound over here into Manitoba, Canada, central Canada. This is just above Montana and North Dakota. We have 2 major fires here. Now, I'm going to pull this map over here to the east. I want to show you what's going on over here in Canada. Look at the fires here. Ontario, Canada. Right at the border between Quebec and Ontario, we have a major fire here. Over into Ontario and Newfoundland, we have major fires here. Major fires. As you can see, we have other fires here in the United States. Over here on the East Coast, we have quite a few small fires and 1 major fire over here in North Carolina. Along the East Coast of North Carolina, over here where you see my cursor there. Okay, 1 major fire there. We go down into Florida and you can see some smaller fires here. Almost every state has a fire. Almost every state in the United States has a fire here. We go over to the west, southern Utah and western Utah. Wyoming has some small fires. Montana has 1 small fire. North Dakota has some small fires over in the northwestern part of the state and 1 over in the north central part of the state. South Dakota does not have any fires. Dropping down over here into Nebraska, Nebraska has some fires. Kansas has fires. Oklahoma has fires. Look at Texas. We have small fires all over Texas. We have some major fires over here in New Mexico. A lot of major fires here in New Mexico. New Mexico caught on fire yesterday, well actually Sunday, and it's been burning ever since. Some of these fires go down into Arizona. We have fires over here throughout Southern California, stretching up into Northern California, up near the Bay Area. We talked about that last night. We have a major fire in Northern Oregon, North Central Oregon. We have 2 fires over in Washington State as well. This is this time of year. This is this time of year. This is what happens. This is exactly what happens every year. Now, I want to pull this map down a little bit and show you fires in Mexico. Most of these fires are wildland fires, and in some cases, you can see these fires just take over southern Mexico, west to the east coast of southern Mexico. You can see where Mexico City is here. Look at all these fires here. That is because they lack a lot of fire control. That's why there's fires there. Now, I'm coming back here to the United States. I want to tell you what is happening. Okay? I show you the fires all over the area. What I'm going to show you now, or tell you now, is what is going on. I want very much to tell you what is happening because everybody needs to know. And I'm not kidding. Everybody needs to know. Okay? I don't like sitting here every day talking my head off without knowing what I'm doing. I do know what I'm doing. Okay? I'm very much aware of what is happening around us. I want to go over and talk about what California Fire is talking about. Cal Fire used to be called California Department of Forestry. They now call it Cal Fire. Cal Fire is talking about the fires that are happening now. The 2024 fire outlook for the rest of the year. Despite the above average snowpack and early spring storms that we talked about just during the past few months, transitioning sea surface temperatures may lead to drier weather. The sea surface temperatures are rising. This is normal. This is absolutely normal. This happens every year. When I used to surf, I used to check the surf outlook. I'd check the National Weather Service. I'd check the local news and find out the water temperature, whether I needed a wetsuit or not. I look at storms coming in. I wanted to surf and I wanted some good waves. Sometimes there were storms, sometimes there were not. I didn't wait for the storms. I still went out and surfed in the surf that was there. This time of year we have transitioning sea surface temperatures. Surface temperatures in the water are increasing. Now this may lead to drier weather as a result of that. Recent rainfall that Southern California has had, and all of California for that matter has temporarily reduced the risk of large fires. Now, I just showed you a map with all the fires. We've been talking about all the fires yesterday. Keeping these fires and the surface temperatures of the ocean and the recent rainfall is keeping things at an average or below average level for the next few months in when we're talking about fires. Okay? Rabbit Hole is saying Gulf temperatures are high for June. Yes, they are. I can tell you why as well. Gulf temperatures are higher because we have a volcano in the center of the Gulf of Mexico. The volcano is not erupting, however, that volcano is hot. I don't think if it was not above in this ocean there, in the Gulf of Mexico, I think that volcano would probably be erupting. The Gulf of Mexico has kept that volcano from erupting, but it's also raised the water temperatures of the Gulf of Mexico. Okay? Now, we talked about what is going to happen. We're going to see average or below average levels for fire during the next few months. However, with new vegetation growth as a result of rainfall, dryness may increase from mid-May to June. potentially leading to more small fires, with the chance of large fires depending on wind conditions. Now, while there are no immediate signs of drought or dryness, again, there are no immediate signs of drought or dryness right now. This could also change as temperatures rise and conditions dry out. Additionally, the annual southwest monsoon season, the southwest monsoon season coming out of Mexico into the western United States, Arizona, New Mexico, California, and up into Utah, Idaho, and even Colorado, folks, the monsoon season could still have an impact on what's going on. But the monsoon season may start late. The monsoon season may start out late. Okay? This is also going to impact lightning-related fire risk in Northern California later this year. Okay? As that monsoon season kicks into gear, we have lightning-started fires. Okay? I wanted to tell you that. Now, there are statistics. The statistics don't hold right now because of our recent weather. The statistics that we've seen don't hold up right now. That could change. I want to make sure that everybody understands that. Things can change. Now, I've been watching what's going on for quite some time. I have been told that I sometimes don't know what I'm talking about. I do. Conditions change. And as conditions change, things happen. I'm keeping on top of this. Okay? I want to make sure everybody realizes what I'm saying is confirmed by CAL FIRE and other agencies. Okay? Right now, the total number of emergency responses by CAL FIRE and other agencies are 271,736 incidents so far this year. Those are total emergency responses. Wildfires. So far there's been 2,103 wildfires. So far this year we've had 66,055 acres burned. We don't have any fatalities. I repeat, we have absolutely no fatalities so far, either civilian or firefighters. We've had 2 structures that have burned. We talked about that last night. Only 2 structures have burned. 9 have been damaged. 9 have been damaged. So far, we have not had any major events so far this fire season. I want to make sure everybody is realizing that. Yes, we've had fires over in Sacramento, along the coast over just north of Santa Rosa in Northern California. Yes, we've had fires over in Redding. Hurricane Heather has been talking about fires over there in Redding. She's seen the smoke and she's become very concerned about what's going on. Oakland, California. Santa Rosa and Oakland, California, up there in Northern California, they've had some small fires. Sacramento, they've had some larger wildland fires. South of Chico, California, we've had some wildland fires there. Further south, out into the desert areas of California, we've had some wildland fires. Miscellaneous fires just north and east of San Jose. We've had fires north of Oakland, north and west of Oakland. We've had some fires northeast, or actually northwest of Fresno, north of Visalia, California. I have my cousin that lives in Visalia, California. We go south. South of Salinas, California, near the coast. We've had some wildfires just south of Salinas, California. This is normal. Now we go way down into Southern California. South of Bakersfield. Okay? This is mostly out in the foothills of the San Bernardino Mountains, that area, and out into the desert. We've had some wildfires. They're ongoing. They're very much ongoing. Just south of Lancaster, we told you about the fires there. Down into Oxnard and out into Los Angeles Valley, in the basin of Los Angeles, we've had some smaller fires. Going further east, south and east, this area is over around, I want to say, Moreno Valley. Out in the desert areas of Hemet and that area there. Moreno Valley, out in the desert. We have had some fires out there. Over in San Diego County, we have not had any fires whatsoever, and none out in the Imperial Valley yet. South of the border, south of Tijuana, we've had some spot fires. That also is pretty much normal. Now, I'm going to talk about the currently active incidents that we have. We have the Arrow Fire. The Arrow Fire over near Calaveras, California. 5,425 acres. The Douglas Fire over in Sacramento area. 327 acres. The Arrow Fire over in Calaveras has burned 5,425 acres, like I said, and it's only 20% contained. The Douglas Fire over near Sacramento has burned 327 acres, and they do not have any containment at all. 0% containment. The Hernandez Fire near San Benito, Northern California. 642 acres of burn, and that fire is 65% contained. The Hesperia Fire over near San Bernardino, we talked about, has burned over 1,078 acres. Presently, they're trying to control it. It's 86% contained. We go further north, over near Shasta, the Hidden Fire over there. The Hidden Fire over near Shasta has burned 45 acres and is presently 60% contained. The Junes Fire, Butte County, California, 1,056 acres and it's 98% contained. Containment doesn't mean the fire is out. It's only contained, and fire people, including CAL FIRE, believes that their containment will stop the further spread of the fire. Containment does not mean the fire's out. It's only meaning that the fire departments believe that it's not going to spread. Okay? Now, the Junes Fire over in Butte County, that is burned 1,056 acres. It's also 98% contained. The Point Fire over in Sonoma County, California. We talked about this last night. That fire has now burned 1,207 acres. That fire is now 40% contained. Yesterday they had it at 8%, now it's 40% contained. We go further south, over to Los Angeles, Ventura County area. The Post Fire that we talked also about last night. That fire is large. It has burned 15,690 acres so far. It's only 24% contained, meaning it's still burning out of control. That's the Post Fire. We have the Rocky Fire in Butte, California. It's burned 18 acres and is 98% contained. The Sites Fire that we talked briefly about last night, Colusa County, That fire has burned 10,000 acres and only is 15% contained. Meaning those fires are way out of control. The fires that are 86 and 90, 98% contained are basically not out of control any longer. But like I said, the fires 40%, the fires that are 24% or 15% contained, those are out of control fires. They can presently do a lot of damage. Okay? I want to make sure everybody is aware of what's going on. Every year we talk about fires in the west part of the United States. Those are the biggest fires we have. Those cause a lot of damage and sometimes cause loss of life. So I've given you an overview of those fires. Does anybody else have any questions about anything we said? Does anybody have any questions about anything so far that I've said here tonight? Pat Herc said, that's not bad. I agree. This isn't bad. This is really only the beginning of the summer fire season. Sungazer says she just got here and missed everything. I just talked about the current fires throughout California. Okay? California and New Mexico are probably the two places with the largest fires right now. New Mexico caught on fire Sunday night going into Monday. I will give you information about the New Mexico fires tomorrow night. Okay? I'll give you more information about the New Mexico fires tomorrow night. Any other questions that we might be able to answer for you? Like I said, I've been keeping track of everything going on literally all day today. That's what I do. That's what I do. I want to make sure that we have communication between us so that you know what's happening. Now, you can watch some of these fires burn over on the College of Dupage. You can go over to the College of Dupage and pull up information about those fires. You can see them burning. The radar from the GOES satellite shows them burning. Okay? The radar from the GOES satellite shows the smoke. And you can see it there. I also showed you the firm's NASA information, showing you all the fires that are going on. Now, Christine says a fire started in her room from the ground underneath. Now, that does happen. Okay? I've talked to quite a few of you that have talked about the ground and what's going on. Folks, yes, we have had ground fires. Let me stop and talk about that. Okay? We have ground fires. We've talked a lot about volcanoes in the past, and we will continue to talk about volcanoes. There is magma underneath the ground. There is magma underneath the ocean, and it's coming into California. Various places in California. One is over in San Diego. There's probably 2 magma tunnels coming into San Diego because the magma is racing through those tunnels headed over to the Salt Butte Volcano. Salt Butte Volcano over in Imperial Valley, California, Southern California. Also, over in Los Angeles, I know of at least one tunnel over there. Where does it head? That magma heads over to eastern Los Angeles. It goes over into eastern Los Angeles, over to La Puente area. There's a volcano there. Man has built a lot of homes over in the Walnut La Puente area. Where they built those homes, there's a caldera. A caldera is simply the lava that is left over after an eruption. The caldera has hardened. The caldera has hardened. And over the years, there's a lot of dirt that's gotten onto the caldera. We have shown you, and we're going to show you information tonight that's going to show you that that volcano is very active. There are a lot of earthquakes happening. And these earthquakes are 3.5 to 4.0, maybe even 4.5 earthquakes. That is huge. That is huge. Okay? There are also other volcanoes all throughout California. We have magma racing underneath the Pacific Ocean, headed for those volcanoes, coming through California and headed over into California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona. It happens. Christine says a fire started in her room, underneath her room. She was asking about Utah and Tooele, Grantsville, Utah area. Tooele and Grantsville area is west of Salt Lake City. Now, yes, we probably have magma underneath the ground. Magma heats up the ground, doesn't it? Of course, magma heats up the ground. If the magma in the ground is close to the surface, it will heat up the surface of the earth, right? Yes, it would. And as the surface of the earth, the dirt and gravel and all the plants and vegetation feel that heat, sometimes that vegetation, dry as it is, starts on fire. It's verified it has happened. It's verified it has happened. Now, authorities don't like to talk about that. Just like they don't want to talk about all the earthquakes that are happening. Nor does USGS want to tell you about all the earthquakes that are hitting the volcanoes and all the earthquakes that are hitting up and down the west coast of California. And even the east coast of, not west coast of California, but the entire west coast of North America. USGS does not want to admit anything. And last night I showed you information about that, about Washington and Oregon last night. Today I'm going to talk about Southern California. I'm specifically going to talk about Southern California tonight. Now, do we have anything to worry about? I believe we do. And that's one of the reasons I want to talk about the earthquakes and such in Southern California. A lot of you do live in Southern California. That's why I'm going to talk about it. That's why I've talked about earthquakes up in the San Francisco, Northern California Bay Area. Earthquakes are hitting there every day, and sometimes, a lot of times, USGS does not want us to know about it. They don't put it on the map. But as soon as I find out from my sources, we talk about it. Because the agency does not want anybody to know about it. Sun Gazers here in the chat, does anybody know what was going on midday yesterday around, I don't know, 2 or 3 p.m.? She felt really weird. Sun Gazer, we don't know where you live. Okay? She says, I don't know whether it was a smoke, she got dizzy and it scared her. That does happen. I'll tell you right now, it does happen. And you won't be the first person it's happened to. Okay? We've also had a lot of solar flares. That plays into that as well. Okay? The solar activity plays into that. Hello, Delete Funds. We appreciate you being here. Anyway, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. If you want more information about the solar activities, go over to Wages World. WAGES World. Wages World on YouTube. One of my best friends, Mark Wages, has that program, has that channel. And he talks exclusively about solar activity. He talks exclusively about solar activity. Mark Wages is not a scientist, however, he's very smart. He's very up on what's going on. So I would recommend looking at Wages World and seeing what's going on. When it comes to weather, I go over to Ryan Hall. He's also on YouTube. Ryan Hall is covering all of the hurricanes that are going to hit the United States. He covers the tornadoes hitting the country. Ryan Hall is better than any other meteorologist anywhere. And I've known quite a few meteorologists. I've seen many other meteorologists put out information that is good, but Ryan Hall, y'all, is better. He also puts out storm chasers. He's very good. Okay? He shows current storm chaser information. As these hurricanes get closer and closer to hitting the United States over on the East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico, we will be referring to his information because he has it. Okay? Right now, we do have a storm off the East Coast of the United States. It is not a named hurricane yet. I want to emphasize that. It is not a named hurricane yet. Delete Funds is talking about one of my friends over at the University of Idaho. He's a professor of geology at the University of Idaho, Sean Wilsey. Yes, I do follow him. I followed him for years now. Okay? I followed him for years. Do not put up his YouTube channel. Okay? I do not want anyone putting up someone else's YouTube channel unless you clear it with me ahead of time. Yes, I do follow Sean Wilsey. And there's a reason. Because he's good. He's a professor of geology. When I have questions, I go to him. When I have questions, I go to Sean Wilsey quite frequently. And he always comes through and tells me what's going on. Okay? But again, I check my sources thoroughly. I check my sources thoroughly. We have someone named Geo Smith in the British Isles area, UK. A+ channels. Thank you so much for that. We have quite a few people that follow our channel, and I appreciate that so much. Now, there is a storm out into the western Atlantic Ocean. Excuse me. I want to show you where this is. Okay, I think you guys can see this. This is still further out. Okay, this is right now out just north of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. It says here that it's 10% possible that we may see a tropical storm or hurricane develop right here. Over in the Gulf of Mexico right here, this has a potential tropical cyclone here as of 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time today. Maximum sustained winds are 35 knots, 40 miles per hour. Minimum central pressure is 999 millibars. It has the location with the latitude and longitude here. Movement is north at 5 knots, 6 miles per hour. Right now, it is not expected to hit the Texas coast or the coast of Arkansas or Louisiana. We don't believe it's going to hit this area yet, at least not for the next week. We're going to keep an eye on this. This is, like I said, a disturbance over here in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, over here, like I said, this is still out in the southwestern Atlantic Ocean. An area of showers and thunderstorms located several hundred miles east of the Bahamas. It's associated with a surface trough and upper level area of low pressure. Environmental conditions are marginally conducive for some gradual development of this system. During the next few days, while it moves westward or west-northwestward, the system is forecast to approach the coast of the southeastern United States on Friday. Formation chance through 48 hours is low, 10% chance. Formation chance through the next 7 days, low, 20% chance. Okay? Right now, it's just a low pressure system, just another storm. This is not even tropical storm right now. Again, this is not a tropical storm right now. Does anybody have any questions about these storms? This is a 2-day graphical tropical weather outlook put together by NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. Okay? That's what's happening. Now, I'm going to go quickly over to the graphic for USGS. Okay? Right here. This blue earthquake here I have got highlighted. This is a 5.0 earthquake over near Isango, Vanuatu, southern Vanuatu. It's 84 kilometers north-northwest of Isango, Vanuatu. It's in the Pacific Ocean. Large earthquake in the Pacific Ocean. I do not believe that this earthquake here has had any impact on anybody on the islands of Vanuatu. With that said, I want to now go here to the area of Tonga. This is a little bit different. Actually, it's a lot different. Folks, this is the largest earthquake of today. This is a very large 5.8 earthquake. 75 kilometers south of Hihi-Tonga. 75 kilometers south of Hihi-Tonga. Now I've zoomed in. You can see right here where Hihi-Tonga is. This is out in the Pacific Ocean. There has been nobody hurt. Nobody felt this earthquake. It's very far off the coast of Hihi-Tonga. Nobody felt it. The ocean waters have absorbed the shock waves of this earthquake and also the earthquake in Vanuatu. But this is the largest earthquake today. Now, I'm going to go south. Why is that? Because quite frankly, just north of New Zealand here, in the Kermadec Islands here, there's another earthquake I want to show you. This is another large 5.2 earthquake. This is south of the Kermadec Islands. Okay? The Kermadec Islands are unoccupied islands. They are bird sanctuary. The only people or only animals there are birds. Okay? Nobody lives on islands. This is a large 5.2 earthquake south of the Kermadec Islands. Further south, and I want to point out this, These are not the only earthquakes that have hit the globe today. These are only the earthquakes that USGS wants to show us. Over here, off the northeast side of Raoul Island, North Island, New Zealand. This is a moderate 4.4, mid-range 4 earthquake here near Tinoroto, New Zealand. A 4.4 earthquake, okay? This is also 19 kilometers deep. One of the reasons I want to show you this earthquake is because scientists are saying that sometime in the next 25 years, there's going to be an 8.0 earthquake here. There's going to be an 8.0 earthquake here off the north coast or the east coast of New Zealand. Off the east coast of New Zealand. Why? Because, folks, look where this earthquake is. The Pacific plate is subducting underneath New Zealand. The Pacific plate here is subducting under New Zealand. That is what's going to cause this earthquake. This huge Tongan trench here is subducting underneath New Zealand. That is what's going to cause an 8.0 earthquake. Just like we're going to have a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake hitting off the coast of Seattle. The same kind of subduction quake is going to hit here on the eastern coast of New Zealand. A major earthquake. About 14 years ago, we had an earthquake over here on the eastern side of the South Island of New Zealand. A pretty major quake. But there was a larger quake. It was I believe it was a 7.5 earthquake that hit over here in Christchurch, New Zealand in the 1990s. It did substantial damage here. Folks, this area is a huge subduction zone. Huge subduction zone. One of the reasons we have so many earthquakes here in this area, this whole area encompassing Australia, New Zealand, the Kermadec Islands, Tonga and Samoa, Vanuatu, the Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea, Papua Indonesia, all of Indonesia going up here into Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, and up here to Myanmar. This whole area is a subduction zone encompassing also the Philippines. The reason why we're having earthquakes is because this area has 9 plates, 9 tectonic plates. Each plate is subducting underneath the other. Some time ago, I had someone from Indonesia that sent me an email, and I explained why they were feeling earthquakes and why they continue getting hit with earthquakes. The simple reason, it's in a huge subduction zone. One tectonic plate subducting under the other. That's what's happening. Dan says, "Oh, you, my country." Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know where you live, Dan, but yes, everybody is going to feel these earthquakes. Another earthquake hit over here off the west coast of Guatemala today. West coast of Guatemala and southern Mexico. Okay? This was a 5.0 earthquake. This was a large 5.0 earthquake. Notice where it hit. Guatemala is down here. People in Guatemala felt this earthquake. Yes, it was off the coast here. Guess what? It's right next to the San Andreas Fault. Right next to the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault carried that energy down here to the Cocos Plate. And that's why Guatemala, people in Guatemala felt this quake on the west coast of Guatemala. Okay? It happens. This is not the only earthquake that hit here. There are dozens, and I mean dozens of other earthquakes that have hit here in southern Mexico. All throughout the coastal areas of Mexico. All up in here into the mountains of Mexico here. There are 36 earthquakes here in southern Mexico. USGS not saying word one about what's going on. Not one word. That's what's sad. They're not telling anybody what's going on. There are 15 earthquakes here in Central America. But again, they're not telling us what. They're not giving us any information. Folks, let me back out just a little bit more. I want to show you South America before I go up here to Southern California. Look at the earthquakes here in South America. For the first time in a very long time here, we have an earthquake over here near the east coast of South America. This is Frutal, Brazil. Frutal, Brazil. This is a 4.3 moderate earthquake. Frutal, Brazil. We don't get earthquakes over here very often. We don't find out about them hardly at all. But today, a 4.3 earthquake here in Brazil. We go over here. Okay? USGS is not showing any earthquakes here in Chile. Nothing down here in central Chile. Nothing up here in Atacama, Chile here. Tarapacá, Chile. Not saying a word one. Over here in the Andes Mountains of Chile and Argentina. This is a 4.6 moderate earthquake here. A 4.6 moderate earthquake, 85 kilometers west-northwest of San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina. This is the border region of Chile and Argentina. Folks, there are presently 28 earthquakes here in Chile. 28 earthquakes here in Chile. Most of the earthquakes are up here in northern Chile. Okay? Again, the USGS doesn't want anybody to know about it. What kind of crap is that? Over here in southern Peru, occasionally we have earthquakes here as we do now. This is a 4.7 moderate earthquake here. Motagaragua, Peru, a 4.7 earthquake, 115 kilometers deep, a fairly shallow earthquake. We go further north, over here. This is North Peru, northern Peru, on the east side of the Andes Mountains here. The Andes Mountains run from way down south in southern Peru all the way up here to the north into Colombia and also into Venezuela. This is a 5.5 earthquake. This is a large 5.5 medium range, 5.5 large earthquake. 104 kilometers deep over here on the eastern side of the Andes Mountains. They call it the Pampas. The Pampas. These are farm fields, farms and ranches over here on the eastern side of the Andes Mountains. This is a 5.5 earthquake. We don't get too many large earthquakes over here in the Pampas of Argentina, Brazil, Bolivia, Chile area. None, because the Andes Mountains end over at the border with Argentina and Bolivia. Over here in Peru, we rarely have earthquakes this far east. But today, a 5.5 earthquake hit here in the Pampas of Peru. Okay? Let's go north. North of that earthquake. And they're not showing all the aftershocks from that quake either. Large earthquakes have aftershocks, quite a few aftershocks. I'm going to say there are 10 aftershocks in that area of northern Peru today. Right here. This is in southern Ecuador, southeastern Ecuador. This is a 4.6 moderate earthquake here. I do not believe this was an aftershock of the 5.5 further south in Peru. It has its own aftershocks. A 4.6 earthquake in southern Peru, southern Ecuador here, Palora, Ecuador. Okay? There are other earthquakes over here in Colombia and one earthquake over here in Venezuela. Of course, USGS is not talking about any of these. I believe we have a total of 36 earthquakes throughout South America. Most of these earthquakes are over here along the coastline of Chile, Argentina, Peru, going up here into Ecuador, and over here into Colombia and Venezuela. These earthquakes come up here. They follow the craton edge here. They follow the Andes Mountains. These earthquakes come up here into Panama, come up further into Costa Rica, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Guatemala. To come up through South America, they go into Central America and over into Mexico. These earthquakes go further into California. They go further into northern Mexico and into southern California. Okay? USBS is not showing us hardly any earthquakes here. Not showing hardly anything. There's a reason. Because they don't want to admit there's a problem. They don't want to admit what's going on. Okay? Plain and simple. We've proven that over the last 5.5 years we've been on the air. Before we go over to Southern California, I want to show you an earthquake over here. This is over here on the Eastern Continental Divide. Folks, this is Sparta, North Carolina. Sparta, North Carolina. This is a 2.3 earthquake here. Sparta, North Carolina, 3 years ago, had an earthquake. A 5.1 earthquake here. Today we have a 2.3 earthquake here. A 2.3 minor earthquake here. We also have another quake here. This is also a 2.3. Twin 2.3 earthquakes. Look where these earthquakes are. They are on the Eastern Continental Divide in Sparta, North Carolina. Sparta, North Carolina is about an hour and 45 minutes northwest of where I live. An hour and 45 minutes northwest of where I live. When I first got here in August, actually it was 4 years ago, in August, 1 year later, 3 years ago, one of my friends and I traveled up here to Sparta. We took pictures here. Maybe tomorrow I'll pull pictures here and show you this area. I'll show you the damage that resulted from that earthquake. I met with city fathers here in Sparta, North Carolina. They showed me pictures of what had happened. It's going to happen again. Again, this is the Eastern Continental Divide. This is the edge of the North American Craton. The edge of the North American Craton. Everything else east of there is on the Atlantic Plate. And again, the Atlantic Plate is pushing the North American Plate. The Atlantic Plate is pushing the North American Plate right here, which is causing earthquakes all over this area. It's causing earthquakes up and down the entire coastline. Let's go further north up here. I want to show you this. This is up in New Hampshire. This is New Hampshire. This is a 2.6 minor earthquake here. It is 7 kilometers deep. 7 kilometers deep, 3 miles deep. A 2.6 earthquake, 5 kilometers east-southeast of Haverfield, New Hampshire. It's on the Craton. It's on the Craton, guys. All this area here, going up into Canada, is the Eastern Craton, the Eastern Continental Divide here. This whole area. It starts down here in Georgia and goes all the way up here. Okay? That's what's happening. Richard Smith is telling us about a 4.3 earthquake off the coast of El Salvador, Central America. It's happening. It's happening. Now, he also is telling us about a 2.3 earthquake in Sicily, a depth of 117 kilometers deep. Let's go over here to Italy. Okay? USBS is not showing us hardly anything going on at all here in Europe. This area right here is Sicily. This area here is Sicily. A 2.3 earthquake. Now, one of the reasons I want to show you this, one is because Richard Smith reminded me about this, and this one just happened, a 2.3 earthquake. But offshore from Italy and Sicily, we have two volcanoes, Mount Etna and Stromboli volcanoes. Both of those volcanoes are very active. And in fact, Mount Etna has now erupted from a different crater. Mount Etna has now erupted from a different crater. And as a result, it's going to cause a lot of problems. It's going to cause an enormous issue. Lava is now flowing downslope from that crater. Lava is flowing downslope from that crater. And now it may pose another hazard. Okay? Now it might pose another hazard. Stromboli down here is also very active, but it's not exploding like Mount Etna is now. Mount Etna has various places where it has been erupting from. And now a new crater opened up on Mount Etna. Okay, that happened yesterday. Yes, we do talk about volcanoes. We talk about earthquakes. Anytime we have a volcanic eruption, folks, what happens? Usually at a volcanic eruption, we have a 5.0 earthquake, a large earthquake. A large earthquake. Now, they're not showing any earthquakes at all here in Italy. Right up here in central Italy, there are 35 earthquakes here in central Italy. There's another 12 earthquakes down here in southern Italy. There are now over 50 earthquakes here in Greece. They're not showing us any. There are 48 earthquakes here in western Turkey. They're not showing us anything. There's earthquakes down here around Crete, Greece. The islands just off the west coast of Ecuador also have earthquakes. These islands are called the Dupage Islands. They belong to Greece. They belong to Greece. There's earthquakes over here in northern Turkey. There's earthquakes down here in southern Turkey. Right here, eastern side of Turkey. The border region between Turkey and Syria. A year and a half ago, there was a 10.0 earthquake that hit this area. A very devastating earthquake. It opened up a 14-mile-long fissure. That fissure could fit an 8-story building in it. This earthquake killed over 5,000 people and over 5,000 injuries as a result of that earthquake. And now they get between 50 and 60 earthquakes here every day. Aftershocks from that 9.0, 10.0 earthquake a year and a half ago. These very dangerous earthquakes have aftershocks. And these aftershocks last not just months, but years afterwards. Can you imagine being a Turkish citizen or living down here in Syria either? Every time there's a felt earthquake, and yes, some of these earthquakes are felt. Some are tremors. but there are felt earthquakes here as well. Can you imagine living down here and feeling these earthquakes, not knowing whether you're going to have another major earthquake hit? These people are not well suited for those kinds of things. Okay? They're not very well educated. So when they have an earthquake here, they become very concerned, almost paranoid that something else is going to happen. I myself, I don't want to live in an area like that and not know what's happening. There are other earthquakes over here north of Greece. Do they tell us about them? No. They don't tell us about any earthquakes over here in the Alps. The Italian Alps, the Swiss Alps, the German Alps, the French Alps over here, there are earthquakes. Earthquakes over here in France. Earthquakes down here in Spain. Are they talking about them? Heck no. They don't want us to know about it. Heaven forbid they tell us what's happening. We don't have any earthquakes to talk about here in Britain, Wales, over here in Scotland or Ireland. We don't have any earthquakes to talk about. We have earthquakes here in Norway, southern Norway, and northern Sweden up here, and down here in southern Sweden as well. And there may be, I didn't see any earthquakes in Finland, but there may be some earthquakes here in Finland today as well. When I lived down here in the mid-70s, here in Sweden, I didn't feel any earthquakes. No one ever said anything about earthquakes here in Sweden or Norway. But now they're happening. They're also happening here in Finland. Okay? USGS is not talking about it for whatever reason. But they're happening. They're not showing any earthquakes over here in Iceland. But that doesn't mean they're not happening. They are. I believe there's magma still traveling north of where it last erupted from. And there may be a volcanic eruption over here in Iceland very soon. Dustin Caglick just gave us another $2 super chat. Thank you, Dustin. He says, I'm late to the party. Dustin, we sure appreciate you being here. And thank you for your support. We appreciate all of your support here. Just so you know, YouTube collects the money which you guys give me. They take 40% of it and leave me with about 60% of it. Sometimes they take even more. I appreciate all of the donations you give us here on YouTube. Our super chats, or what I like to call super thanks. I appreciate it. They collect our money from the 21st of the month through the 18th of the month the next month. This today is the cutoff for all donations that YouTube will pay me in 3 days. I usually get paid on the 21st or 22nd. Folks, if you want to donate to me and have it to me between now and Sunday, or not now Sunday, now and Friday, this is a good time to make sure we get donations here on Super Chats today. Because after today, it goes on the next month's Super Chat. Okay? Lanier's Wrath says, which is odd because Sweden is always active, isn't it? It hasn't been active before 2 years ago. Before 2 years ago, it was very inactive. Nothing much happens. But what is going on? Why are we getting earthquakes in Sweden? Because the mid-Atlantic fault is pushing Europe in an easterly direction. This mid-Atlantic fault here that runs from way down here in the South Atlantic goes all the way through the Atlantic Ocean here. The mid-Atlantic fault is pushing Europe in an easterly direction. That's why we are getting these earthquakes in Norway and Sweden and Finland. That's why we're getting earthquakes over here in Europe at all. Spain, France, Switzerland, Germany, and Austria, Italy, the Czech Republic, even in Romania, we've had earthquakes. USGS is not saying anything because they don't want anybody to believe what's actually happening. They just don't do that. Now, I'm now going to talk about Southern California. I want everybody to realize what's going on. Okay? Before I do that, over here on the Cascadia subduction zone, today, folks, 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time. 12 Eastern Time is 10:40 a.m. Pacific Time. This is a minor 2.6 earthquake up here, just off the coast of Oregon. Yachats, Oregon. Yachats, Oregon. On the Cascadia subduction zone. A 2.6 earthquake hit here this morning. 2.6 earthquake hit here this morning. Okay? Who says that the Cascadia subduction zone doesn't get hit? The only reason they say that is because the USPS does not want anybody to know what's happening. Okay? They don't want anybody to know what's happening. Any questions? No, Charlie, we don't want to see that C word in our chat. No, it's not because of that. Okay? I don't want to talk about the C word over in Europe. Yes, they're putting together a collider in New York City. The collider over in Switzerland is working and it's active. But I don't believe it's having what shall I say? It's not having any effect on earthquakes over in Europe. The earthquakes that's happening on that is a result of solar flares and tectonic plate movement. That's what we're seeing. Monier's Wrath says it's more of a question what's going on in the sun, and he's right. Okay? The sun is always moving. There's always going to be a solar eruption, a solar flare. There's always going to be some kind of coronal mass ejection. Plasma radiation reaching out from the sun out into space that's going to heat up the plates of the earth, causing the plates to move more freely, causing what we call earthquakes. Earthquakes. One more thing before we go and talk about Cambrian. I want to show you this. Okay? Over here in the Cascadia subduction zone, we do have activity. Today, Grubbs, Arkansas. Grubbs, Arkansas. This is right alongside the Mississippi River, right alongside the New Madrid seismic zone. A 2.0 earthquake. A 2.0 earthquake. 7.4 kilometers deep. 3 kilometers deep. 3 kilometers deep here. This is not the only earthquake to hit. Tomorrow night we'll talk about the New Madrid seismic zone. Tomorrow night we'll talk about the New Madrid. Now, I want to go over now and talk about earthquakes in Southern California. There are plenty of earthquakes throughout Southern California. Now, I want to talk first off in the earthquakes in the desert. Okay? Let's go over to Bakersfield. Let's talk about Bakersfield. Look at this, guys. This is the most activity we've had here in Bakersfield in quite some time. No, there are no major earthquakes here. I don't believe we've even seen 2.0 minor earthquakes. All these are tremors. There are no microquakes here at all. These are all tremors. Even up here after 5 a.m. this morning, which is when this seismogram first give us information. 5 a.m. this morning over here on the left-hand side. Going throughout 15-minute time periods. Each line here represents 15 minutes worth of time. 5 a.m. this morning, all we have here are literally minor 1.0 to 1.3 tremors. Yes, we get to have larger tremors here as well. For example, this tremor over here, this happened after 6:44 a.m. this morning. This is a 1.7 tremor. 1.7 tremor here in Bakersfield. This is the most earthquake activity we've had here in a very long time. This is the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault. Just a second, guys. I've got to turn on my fan. It is 80-some degrees here in North Carolina, and it's hotter than heck here in my office. It's got even hotter. It's got even hotter since we've been on the air. I want to show you this because this proves what scientists have been saying. This proves exactly what scientists have been saying. Right here. The earthquakes are happening on the southern San Andreas Fault. They're telling us now that they are expecting a major earthquake here on the San Andreas Fault, probably within the next, I want to say, 5 years. I don't think it's going to be that long. I personally believe we're going to have a major earthquake here in Southern California, not just on the San Andreas Fault. I believe we're going to have a major earthquake here in Southern California, probably in San Diego, Imperial Valley, or in Los Angeles sometime within the next 6 to 8 months. I don't think it's going to get past the end of this summer. I think the large major earthquake is going to happen this summer. Okay? All the scientific information that I've gathered proves that fact out. It proves it. Let's go over to Cabazon. Cabazon is over near the San Bernardino Mountains. Look at this. I want to show you this. This is Cabazon, guys. Look what's happening. Over here at the top, unlike the last one over in Bakersfield, right here we have microquakes and 1.0 tremors. Microquakes and 1.0 tremors. Again, this seismogram started at 5 a.m. this morning. It grew largely throughout the morning. Okay? It grew substantially 15 minutes later. Here we're having 1.2, 1.3 tremors at 5:15. And look what happens here at 6 a.m. We've gone from 1.0, 1.2 tremors here to 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, and probably 1.6 tremors here. Seismic signals grew. Seismic signals grew. This is also the San Andreas Fault. This is the San Andreas Fault. Look what happened here at 8:30 on this blue line. The blue line is being hidden by this green line at 6:45 a.m. right here on the left-hand side. But you see seismic signals happening here after 6:30. They started again here almost at 6, I want to say it actually started here about 6:41 a.m. this morning. And it continued all the way out here after 6:45. Here we have at least 2.0, 2.2, 2.3 earthquakes all throughout this seismic signal area here. This signal here, these earthquakes here, lasted 5 minutes. This earthquake sequence lasted 5 minutes here. Okay, this is the largest sequence I've seen in Cabazon in a very, very long time. Okay, these are minor earthquakes, guys. And just about 5 minutes later, we had another shorter sequence here. And then over here at just after 10:32 this morning. 10:32 this morning. And again after 12:15 here on the red line here. 12:30 here, but here, over here on the left-hand side, this is 12:25 a.m. here. Or I'm sorry, 12:25 p.m. here. The seismic energy was building here in tremors, and over here we start seeing 2.0 earthquakes. 2.0 earthquake sequence here. And this sequence here lasted 8 minutes. It lasted 8 minutes out here. You see what I'm saying? The San Andreas Fault is moving. The San Andreas Fault is moving. My buddy Don Patoka just came in here. Thank you, Don, for being here. I appreciate you, brother. I really do. It's crazy. This is crazy. The San Andreas Fault is alive and well here. Okay? Also nearby Idlewild to the north. Let me show you Idlewild. The San Bernardino Mountains. The western San Bernardino Mountains. This is Idlewild. Here, all we are seeing are tremors and microquakes. Up here at the top. 5 o'clock in the morning on the left-hand side. These are microquakes. 5:15 microquakes. Starting here, we see ultimately 1.0, 1.2 tremors now and again. The tremors increase throughout the day, but nothing like Cabazon. Nothing like Cabazon. Right here, we had a 2.8 earthquake here. That's why you see this moving here. A 2.8 earthquake here in Cabazon, Idlewild. Idlewild during the summer is a tourist trap for hikers and campers. During the winter season, it is a tourist trap for skiers. Idlewild is a town of maybe 1,000 people. They have restaurants there, curio shops. You can get almost any kind of food that you would think of here in Idlewild. A-frame cabins are up for rent there. A-frame cabins are for rent here in Idlewild. It's a great place to be. But again, the biggest earthquake we've seen here is a 2.7 earthquake in the past. This may be a 2.3, 2.4 earthquake right here. All the rest of these are all tremors. Well, right here. These are also tremors here. I was thinking this is an earthquake. These are all tremors here. Tremors and one good earthquake over here in Idlewild. Again, on the San Andreas Fault. On the San Andreas Fault. How about Rancho Mirage? Out in the California desert. Rancho Mirage here has earthquakes. Again, the San Andreas Fault. Look what's happening. We don't have any earthquakes per se, but this is all tremor. This is all tremor activity. Tremor activity. There are no microquakes on this seismogram at all. These are all minor tremors. Up here at the top is 1.0, 1.1 tremors here. And I believe this was probably a 1.2 tremor here. This is all tremor activity. Okay? Rancho Mirage. Rancho Mirage. Let's continue out here. Let's go out to Victorville. Victorville is where Isaiah's granny lived. Isaiah's granny lives out here. Isaiah's granny is a good friend of mine. This is Victorville, California. The San Andreas Fault here. These are for the most part tremors. I think this earthquake right here, this would be at about 9:12 a.m. this morning. This is probably a 2.0 earthquake right here. This might be a 1.7, 1.8 tremor right here. This is only 2.0, 2.2, 2.3 earthquake here today in Victorville. Okay? But there is substantial seismic activity, as you can see, coming from the San Andreas Fault. It's going. It's all going. Hemet, California. The San Andreas Fault here. Excuse me, no, it's not. This is the San Jacinto Fault here. Hemet, California. Look at the tremors and earthquakes hitting here. Tremors all morning long. Right here. This appears to be a 2.0 earthquake. Down here. This is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. This is at 11:02 a.m. this morning. 11:02 a.m. this morning. But this earthquake sequence started way over here. Okay? This is 10:54 a.m. here. This may be a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here. These are tremors on either side of it. Then it continued light for the next minute, and then it came over here at 10:40, actually 11 a.m. this morning here, and it grew to be a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. Minor earthquakes. No major earthquake, but minor earthquakes here. The San Jacinto Fault is alive and well. The San Jacinto Fault is alive and well. The San Jacinto Fault goes down the entire length of California into the Imperial Valley on the western side of the Salton Sea. The San Jacinto Fault is a long fault. San Jacinto Fault is a long fault. Now, I want to show you more. I want to start over in Los Angeles. I want to start over in LA Valley, the LA Basin. Yes, I do call it the valley. On one side of the valley, we have rolling hills and ocean. On the east side, we have mountains. This is Baldwin Hills. This is the oil and gas operation they have in Los Angeles. This area used to be rolling hills, and they bulldozed the hills down and they planted oil and gas pumps and jacks. Now they pull oil out of the ground. Now, look what we're showing you here. These are just tremors. There are no earthquakes in this entire sequence, but it's constant. The number of tremors, the size of the tremors has also increased. The size of these tremors has increased. Okay? They used to be less than this. They're increasing again, which means the energy here is increasing. The seismic energy, the earthquake size is increasing here. It's just tremors, but it's increasing here in the Baldwin Hills. Let's continue here. Let's go over here to Los Angeles. Over into northwestern Los Angeles. I'm taking you now to Del Amo, California. Look at this, guys. This is an increase in seismic activity here in Del Amo, California. This is an increase. This is a 2.0, 2.2 earthquake here. This is just after 5 a.m. this morning. This is 5:08 a.m. this morning, already a 2.0 earthquake. Yes, there are other tremors here. You can see tremors happening literally all day long here. Of these tremors that are here, we may have some 2.0, 2.2, 2.5 earthquakes throughout the day today. For example, down here at the bottom. The reason I say we've had some larger minor earthquakes here. We've had some larger minor earthquakes. Look at this. This is after 1:45 p.m. today. 1:49 p.m. right here. This is probably pushing a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. But right here, this is 2:04:30, 4 minutes after 2 p.m. and 30 seconds. Folks, look at this earthquake here. It reaches all the way down here. That's significant. That's very significant. A 2.0, 2.1 earthquake here. Okay? We have tremors and 2.0 earthquakes happening all over here. Okay? This is Del Amo. Del Amo. Just northwest of downtown Los Angeles. Let's go to Ellis, California. Ellis, California. Sorry about that. My file overlooked my single file here. This is Ellis, California, also northwest Los Angeles. I want to show you this too. Look up at here. This is 6:41 a.m. here. Look at these earthquakes. Look at these earthquakes here. Those are substantial earthquakes. 2.7, 2.8, possibly even a 3.0 earthquake right here. We can't see the bottom of it because these other colors from after this covered it up. This could be a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake right here. We could also have another 2.5, 2.7 earthquake here and here as well. And all over this seismograph, for example, here. This is after 8:30 in the morning. Look at this seismic energy here. These are minor earthquakes happening. Minor earthquakes happening literally all morning long. Tremors and minor earthquakes happening all day long today. Ellis, California. Ellis, California. It's continuing, guys. It's definitely continuing. Let me get rid of that graph here, that seismogram. Let's show you over to eastern LA County. Fontana, California. This is Cal Electric where the seismograph is. This is the seismogram coming from Fontana, California. We've seen increasing earthquakes here. Increasing earthquakes here in Fontana. We've seen increasing earthquakes here for months now. Months. Up here at the top. Again, over on the left-hand side is 5 a.m. here. This is 5:03 a.m. right here. This seismogram shows this earthquake sequence here reaching up to the top. Folks, this may be as much as a 2.8 earthquake. As much as a 2.8 earthquake. We can't see the bottom because these other colors are covering it. A 2.8 earthquake. This appears to be a 2.5 earthquake here. This may be right here a 3.0 earthquake here. This is after 6:03 this morning. 6:03 a.m. this morning, guys. Fontana, California. Right here. This would be after 9:37 a.m. this morning. This may be a 3.0 earthquake here. Eastern Los Angeles, guys. Fontana, California, a small 3.0 earthquake. Right here. A 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Minor earthquakes. Let's jump down here to the bottom line here. Over here on the left-hand side, this is 2 p.m. This is nearly 2:02 p.m. here. Look at this earthquake. The bottom of it reaches all the way down here. We can't see the top because it's colored from these other earthquakes here earlier this afternoon. This appears to be a 3.0, 3.2 earthquake here. This is 2:02 p.m. this afternoon. 2:02 p.m. this afternoon. This is also a 3.0 earthquake here, a nearly 3.0 earthquake right here. Over here, this appears to be a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Right here, this is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Fontana, California, folks. Fontana, California today. Increased seismic activity here in Los Angeles. And it's not the only place that it's happening. Okay? Let's look over in southern Los Angeles. Laguna Beach. This is nothing but tremor activity. Laguna Beach. Look how thick these lines are. 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 tremors right here. Laguna Beach. This is along the coastal areas of Los Angeles. Laguna Beach. These thick lines are tremors. Every one of these thick lines are tremor activity. Down here at the bottom. Again, over on the left-hand side, this would be 2 o'clock this afternoon. This line right here is after 2:04:30 this afternoon. 4 or 30 seconds after 2:04. Look what we have here. Folks, this may be a 2.0 earthquake right here, or very close to it. This isn't a 2.0, it's a 1.8, 1.9 tremor. Laguna Beach, California. Now, with that said, let me show you Playa del Rey, Marina del Rey area. This is on the northwest side of Los Angeles. Playa del Rey, Marina del Rey area. Again, we've had larger earthquake sequences here. These are tremor activity. This is nothing but tremor activity. 1.2, 1.3 tremors literally all day long. This is along the coastline of Los Angeles. The coastline of Los Angeles. It's moving. This is moving, guys. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Folks, we've been watching this for a long time. This is not our first ball game. This is not our first ball game. Let me take you over to Long Beach. This is Light Hype, Long Beach, California. Look at the tremors and the earthquakes here. There are tremors and minor earthquakes all over this seismogram. Up here, right here. This is a 2.5, 2.7 earthquake right here. Minor earthquake. There are tremors here as well, literally all day long, but there's also a lot of minor earthquakes hitting here in Long Beach, California today. You can look at the vertical lines here. You can see exactly what I'm saying. Down here at the bottom, on this black line, you can see the series of earthquakes happening here in Long Beach. Look here. This appears to possibly be a 3.0 small quake. A 3.0 small quake here. That doesn't happen at all except maybe right here. This is a single line. Over here are multiple 3.0 earthquakes. 2.8, 2.9, 2.5, 2.5, 2.7, 2.8, 2.8. Look at this. You see what I'm saying? This is Long Beach, California. Let's go and show you another one. I want to show you State Street over near Anaheim. Just north and west of Long Beach. Anaheim, California. State Street. 3.0 earthquake here. This, folks, is 5:19 a.m. this morning. This appears to be a 3.2, 3.3 earthquake. Okay? How many other small earthquakes are here in Anaheim area? Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm. Possibly a 3.0 earthquake here, one right here, and also one right here. 3.0 earthquake here, 3.0 earthquake here, 3.0 earthquake here, definitely a 3.0 earthquake right here. Okay? This is 2:19 p.m. this afternoon. A small 3.0 earthquake here. The rest of these earthquakes are minor earthquakes, but you can see what I'm talking about. Small and minor earthquakes literally all day long here in Anaheim, California. It's happening, guys. It's happening. We've been talking about this for a long time. The increase in seismic activity is apparent. It's literally happening all day long. Moore Park, California. This is also northwest of downtown Los Angeles. These are mostly tremors. These are mostly tremors except right here. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. This is 10:08 a.m. this morning. A small 3.0 earthquake at 10:08 this morning here in Pires, California, northwest of Los Angeles. Now, yes, we are seeing minor earthquakes. This is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Nearly a 3.0 earthquake here. Right up here. This is a 2.5, 2.7 earthquake here. Minor earthquakes and tremors here in Pires, California. Los Angeles Basin. The LA Basin. How about Rancho Palos Verdes? Just east of where my wife was born. Just barely east of where my wife was born. Look at this. Again, after 10:01 a.m. this morning. Rancho Palos Verdes. This is at least a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake right here. 10:01 a.m. this morning. Over here. This is another case. This is 11:43 a.m. this morning. Again, a 2.7 earthquake here. 2.7 earthquake here. Down here, this is at least a 2.0 earthquake here. This is after 1:51 p.m. this afternoon. 1:51 p.m. this afternoon. Rancho Palos Verdes in Los Angeles. It happened, didn't it? Ronald, California. Look at this, guys. Look at all this activity this morning. Between 5 a.m., and I do not have the seismogram from last night, but from 5 a.m. all the way down here till after 6 a.m. this morning. Look at all this tremor activity. Constant. These are large tremors. These are not earthquakes. These are large tremors. This is the most activity we've had and the largest activity we've had here at Ronaldi in a very long time. Seismic activity is happening right here. This is after 6:02 a.m. This is 1.8, 1.9 tremors. Here, 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 and here. 6 sequences here. 6 sequences about 2.5 minutes apart. Large tremor activity. Then it calms down for several hours. Then it starts up about 10 a.m. this morning. And it literally continues all the rest of the day. It continues all the rest of the day today. Ronaldi, California. Let's check on Rio Hondo. Good old Rio Hondo. Look at this. Tremor activity all day long. 1.3, 1.4 tremors literally all day long. We didn't usually see this heavy-duty seismic activity happening. Yes, these are tremors, and nobody feels these tremors. Nobody feels these tremors. But this shows increased activity here in Rio Hondo, California, the Los Angeles basin. It's going on. It's going on. Let's look over in Santa Monica. This is again over near the beach. This is just tremor activity. They have a small municipal airport here in Santa Monica. This is just tremor activity. But again, this is continued tremor activity. It does not back down at all. This does not back down at all. None. The entire area of Los Angeles is moving, and it's moving in a big way. It's moving in a very big way. Let's look over at the University of Southern California in LA. This is USC in Los Angeles. All tremor activity. Some of the tremors are larger than others. For example, right here, 1.5, 1.6 tremors, 1.5 tremors, 1.6, 1.7 tremors. Tremors literally all day long here at USC. Let's go down to San Diego County. Actually, before we do that, let's check up over in Walnut La Puente area. Los Angeles. This is eastern Los Angeles. Walnut La Puente. Folks, look at this. We showed you every week, we've shown you activity here. This is a volcano. This is a volcano over in eastern LA. It's moving. It's moving. Men have built houses all over the caldera. This is a large caldera. The caldera is where the volcano last erupted. The molten lava hardened, and now there's a city built on it. The Walnut La Puente caldera. Look at the earthquakes happening. This sequence right here in the red. This happened after 6:15 this morning. This continued for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, guys. The agency, Caltech, cut off the top of this sequence. All of the earthquake sequences have been cut off except for this here after 5:30 this morning. This sequence here after 6:15. The top and the bottom of this sequence have been cut off. So we don't know how strong this earthquake is. But what we can see is this is over a 3.0 earthquake. Possibly as much as a 4.0 moderate earthquake here in Walnut La Puente. Up here at the top, this would be 5:21 a.m. this morning. A 3.0 earthquake right here. A 3.0 earthquake right here. Again, this is after 6:40 a.m. this morning. It continued for 2 minutes. This earthquake sequence continued for 2 minutes. At least 3.0 earthquake activity. Right here. This is in the green after 6:45 over here on the left. Over here on the right, this would be 6:58 a.m. this morning. This appears to be here in the green at least a 3.5 earthquake. A 3.5 earthquake here. That's significant. Look at these other earthquakes here. This sequence here. This started at 8:20 this morning. 8:20 this morning. The sequence pretty much ended over here. 8:45 a.m. this morning. And it actually continued for a bit longer. But these are just minor earthquakes here. Here, the sequence started here. 8:40 a.m. this morning. It continued for 5 minutes. 3.5, 4.0 seismic activity for 5 minutes. These people felt it. There were felt reports from this area. Felt reports all over the place, guys. Felt reports from everywhere. Let me bring this back up here. I don't know why it moved to Watts, eastern Los Angeles, Watts area, but I'm not done. You can see the earthquake sequences here. Between earthquake sequences, we can see tremor activity. Again, an earthquake sequence here after 11:45 this morning. But it started over here at 10:50 or 10:44 this morning. Started here in the blue. And it continued over here in the green for another almost 3 minutes. How about this here? 12:30 p.m. this morning. 12:30 p.m. this afternoon. This seismic sequence lasted 6 minutes. Lasted 6 minutes. This sequence here in the red here, right here, this ended at 12:19. 3.0 earthquake. 3.0 earthquake from here. 12:15. Lasting all the way over here to 12:19. 4 full minutes of 3.0 small activity. At least 3.0 small activity. Over here, on the bottom red line here. Over here, this is 2:40 p.m. this afternoon. The bottom of this seismic sequence is cut off. The top is also cut off. This again is at least 3.0, 3.5 activity. small earthquake activity. Walnut La Puente. You can see what I'm talking about. We've had small earthquake activity here in Walnut La Puente all day long. People felt this. This happens every day. Not just once a day, once every other day. This happens every day. All day long. That's got to be unnerving to live or work in this area. East Los Angeles. This is Watts. This is Watts. This is pretty much normal activity in Watts, except for this. Folks, this appears to be a 3.3, 3.4 earthquake at least. The top of this seismic signal goes all the way up here. We can't see the bottom of it because it's colored with other activity that happened after that. This is at least a 3.3 small earthquake. Watts, East Los Angeles. Monier's Raz says, Ron, there's a longer carrier wave hidden in that sequence. Yes, there was. You're absolutely right. What does that mean? That means the shaking lasted. The shaking lasted for a longer period of time. Rob 52 is here as well. Rob, thank you for being here. God bless you, my friend. I've been very busy pulling this information all day long. I was in contact with the LA Emergency Operations Center earlier today. They confirmed the information I'm showing you here. I had a long talk with Chief Seismologist and the emergency manager at the LA Emergency Operations Center. They confirmed what I'm showing you now. Incredible. Incredible. Let's go over into San Diego. What is incredible here is this is a San Diego Gas and Electric Company. The seismograph is in SDG&E, in the SDG&E building in the area just just north of the downtown area in what they call Mission Valley. This is continued tremor activity. This is the most tremor activity we've seen over in this area here in San Diego in a very long time. It's usually very sporadic. This is continued tremor activity, literally all day long. Literally all day long. A lot of times we have hit and miss tremor activity. This is not just hit and miss. Sungazer says there's a movie called Earthquake in Los Angeles. It's called The Great Los Angeles Earthquake. It was filmed in Los Angeles in 1985. It's got a cast of thousands, literally. There are at least 100 well-known faces in the movie industry that participated in that earthquake movie. It's a great earthquake movie. It's based on the truth, though. It's based on the truth. Sungazer says it shows like scenarios that could happen. You're absolutely right. It could happen. For example, at the beginning of the movie, guess where they went to film the movie? Can anybody tell me where they started filming at the beginning of the movie? They began filming over here in Imperial Beach. Not Imperial Beach, Imperial County. Bombay Beach, over on the central eastern part of the Salton Sea. The beginning of that movie showed a seismologist checking a shack that had a seismogram in it. It also had laser beams that they shot from Bombay Beach over to the Chocolate Mountains. to a reflector in the Chocolate Mountains. It showed movement. It showed movement of the San Andreas Fault. That movement showed a lot of potential for an earthquake in Southern California. And that earthquake fault is why the whole movie was filmed, the San Andreas Fault. Look here, Bombay Beach. These earthquakes hit every day. These seismic earthquakes hit every day. 3.0 to 3.5, sometimes as much as 4.0 earthquakes hit here in Bombay Beach every day. That's why they chose to film part of the movie at the beginning here in Bombay Beach. This is happening. This, folks, is at least a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake. They cut off the top and they cut off the bottom here. This sequence lasts for 3 minutes. It lasts for 3 minutes. From just before 6:17 a.m. right here, 6:17 a.m. right here, right before maybe 6:17 and 30 seconds to way over here. 6:20 a.m. here. The secondary wave lasted way out here. Way out here. This at least was a 3.5 earthquake. I'm saying at least a 3.5 earthquake, if not larger. Right here. At the most, this earthquake right here may be a 3.0. Other than that, this is all minor earthquake activity, except for one, maybe two earthquakes right here. 3.0 earthquakes here. Down here, this is at least a 3.5 earthquake right here. This is after 10 a.m. this morning on this black line. 3.5, 3.0. Actually, it was a 3.5 early on. Then it calmed down to 3.0 activity. 3.0 activity here, and yet it calmed down somewhat throughout the stretch of this seismic activity here. But it still lasted over 3 minutes. 3 minutes. This one lasted 2 minutes. This appears right here that it lasts 2.5 minutes here. This earthquake sequence was 2 minutes. This is a 1.5 minute sequence here. 3.0 small earthquake here. What about this? This is at least a 3.5 earthquake. They cut off the top and they cut off the bottom of this sequence here. Bombay Beach. Bombay Beach. At least a 3.5 earthquake there. These earthquakes happen many times every day. Many times every day. I'm not done quite yet. I told you about these earthquakes in the Imperial Valley. Today, I pulled up the USGS map showing seismic activity. Showing seismic activity. No, not at Bombay Beach. Doggone it. I don't know why that came back up. Over in Brawley, California. Just a second, I'm trying to open this in Brawley. It's not letting me show this. Oh, here it is. This is a map of the Imperial Valley. This is Brawley, California. I told you many times over the past 5 years I have been in Brawley. I did a speech and debate tournament here in Brawley, California. This 1.2 tremor in Brawley. It is the only earthquake that USGS is showing here in the Imperial Valley. The only earthquake they're showing here in the Imperial Valley. Well, guess what? I've already showed you activity over there at Bombay Beach. How about Calipatria? I enjoy showing you activity here at Calipatria. Why? Because here at Calipatria, every day they have earthquake activity here. Every day. Anywhere between 75 to 100 earthquakes here at Calipatria every day. Every day. 75 to 100 earthquakes here every day. Down here we have at least 55 earthquakes here. 55 earthquakes and tremors here. Yes, we have 2.0, 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes all over this area. Here, a 2.0 earthquake. This is a 1.7 tremor. Look at this sequence here. Each and every line here on this particular seismograph, what is indicative of 15 minutes worth of time. Each and every horizontal line. This sequence here is magma coming into the magma chamber at Salton Butte Volcano. This is magma coming in, causing earth fracturing, rock fracturing here at the Salton Butte Volcano. 1.6, 1.7 tremors right here, caused by rock fracturing from the magma coming into the Salton Butte Volcano. This is the same sequence here, and right here, and up here. This sequence here, let me enlarge this seismogram so you can see what I'm talking about. This sequence right here, it comes after 5:30 p.m. here, 17:30 here. We come all the way over here. This is about 5:40 p.m. here. 5:40 p.m. here we have a 2.0 earthquake caused by magma coming in here to the magma chamber, and it's fracturing the rock inside the magma chamber. The magma is coming in under pressure, fracturing the rock here at the Salton Butte Volcano. Each and every earthquake here is caused by magma coming into the magma chamber. All of them. Each and every one of them. Including those earthquakes down here towards the end of the day here. Late morning into the rest of the day here. 50 plus earthquakes right here. There's at least 30 to 40 earthquakes and tremors all throughout this seismogram up here. 100 earthquakes and tremors throughout every day here at Calipatria. Every day. Every day. Yet USGS is not showing any of this activity. They're not showing any of the tremors at all. Why not? They exist. I keep telling you about the seismograph in Holtville, California. Holtville, California. The Desert Research Station, Salton Sea Desert Research Station in Holtville. Look at that. There are probably 50 tremors here. 50 tremors and possibly a 2.0, 2.2 earthquake right here. Okay? This happened after 11:53 p.m. last night. 2.0, 2.2, 2.3 earthquake here, again right here as well. Holtville, California. This is not magma here. This is not magma. This is in the Brawley seismic zone in the Imperial Valley. There are other earthquake faults beside the San Andreas Fault here. Ancillary faults connected to the San Andreas Fault. That is what is causing earthquakes here in Holtville, California. Down here at the bottom here. This is 4 a.m. this morning. This appears to be a 2.0 earthquake here this morning. These earthquakes and tremors here happen all day long. literally all day long, every day. Probably 40 plus earthquakes here today. 40 plus epicenters here in the Imperial Valley, right in Holtville, California. Now I'm going to the town of Imperial. I just love this. The town of Imperial. Look at this. Tremors literally all day long. It doesn't stop. But right here, the tremors become larger. This is after 10:05 a.m. this morning. This appears to be 2.5 earthquakes. 2.5 earthquakes off and on for, let's look at this, 7 minutes. 7 minutes. 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes for 7 minutes. And the secondary wave. How about the secondary wave? The secondary wave lasts another 2 minutes here, and it continues on here after 11:45. That's a heck of a long time. This is a heck of a long time. All these earthquakes here, these are earthquakes, minor earthquakes, but they are earthquakes. This is the town of Imperial, California. Now, I don't know whether Juanito is here. Juanito is a friend of our program and a good friend of mine. I don't know whether he's here. Now, I forgot to bring up a seismogram. Hold on, I gotta take care of something here. I just got rid of another troll here. Just a second. And I just got rid of another one here. You're all right, Catman. You're doing a good job. Thank you. Anyway, this is Imperial. Now, I forgot one seismogram. And if you guys will just bear with me for a second, I'm going to pull up the other seismogram. The seismogram I'm looking for is over in El Centro. So I'm coming over here to El Centro to pull up the other seismogram. Let's see, El Centro's right here. Look at the seismogram here in El Centro, guys. This is unreal. Look at the small earthquakes that are happening every day throughout the day. This one here starts at 5:02 a.m. this morning. At least a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake. Another one right here. Okay? This is after 5:25 this morning. Again, at least a 3.5 earthquake. 3.0, 3.5 earthquake. They're happening all day long. There are probably 50 3.0 to 3.5 earthquakes on this seismogram alone. 50 of them. 50 of them. As far south or far through the day as this. This here on this blue line here is it's 1600 over here on the left. On this blue line, this is 4:30 this afternoon. This is 4:35 this afternoon. This is at least a 3.0, 3.3 earthquake. Look at all these small earthquakes all throughout the day. USGS is not reporting a single one of these. I've been over 2 USGS maps today. US not showing any of these earthquakes here. Yes, between those, we have tremor activity. Between these 3.0 small earthquakes in El Centro, we're having tremor activity between them. But look at all these good-sized earthquakes, literally all day long. Juanito is a friend of ours. He feels these earthquakes shaking his home every day. Every day. This doesn't just happen today, it happens every day down there in the Imperial Valley. It didn't used to be this way. It did not used to be this way. They used to see tremors. Now they're seeing small earthquakes. Not even minor earthquakes, but small earthquakes all day long. And sometimes these earthquakes are stronger than that. For example, right here. This appears to be a 3.5 or larger earthquake. But again, we're not seeing the exact top or the bottom of this quake. Unreal. Unreal. We're not seeing the top or the bottom of this quake either. They cut off the top right there. Unreal, guys. Unreal. Southern California is on fire. Southern California is on fire, guys. Does anybody have any questions tonight for me? And yes, this has been a broadcast over 2.5 hours. But I had an awful lot of information to give you. That's why it lasted as long as it did. And I'm sorry. But there was an awful lot of information to share with you. We are still expecting a large to major earthquake in Los Angeles and or San Diego County. It's coming. I have shown you earthquake after earthquake, carrier wave after carrier wave. Well, here's Rassus, and that has 3 carrier waves built into it. You're right. The seismic activity is moving. Podcast Next is asking why I'm saying it's on fire. The reason I'm saying it's on fire is because of all the earthquakes. Tons and tons, hundreds and hundreds of earthquakes all throughout Southern California. I've shown you the earthquakes in Los Angeles. I've shown you the earthquakes in San Diego. I've shown you the earthquakes in the Imperial Valley. It's going. It's going. Jazzers 1 is asking, do the fires have anything to do with the volcanic activity? Possibly. And it should be the other way around. Does the volcanic activity have anything to do with the fires? Because as I explained earlier tonight, the magma, depending on where the magma is in relationship with the top of the ground. There may be magma just down below the surface. It's heating up the surface, and it may cause fires. It may cause the vegetation on the ground to catch on fire. It's possible. I have nothing to prove that right now with the fires presently, but we are watching everything going on. We're watching everything going on. Don Patoka here is one of my mods in the chat. He asked a great question here. Actually, it's a statement. It's a statement. If you're unaware of what is happening or coming, look around you. Look around you. Tonight we showed you an awful lot of earthquake activity. Earthquake activity is ongoing. We also talked about fires early on in the broadcast. Okay? We talked about fires. I also talked about the relationship of magma beneath the ground that is heating up the vegetation on the ground level that could possibly catch fire. Yes, it has happened before. And it is likely to happen again. Okay? It is very likely to happen again. Well, here's Rassus. All those quakes are lots of friction. You're right. The plates are rubbing like this. The earthquake faults are rubbing like this. When we have earthquakes like this, like I've shown you here tonight, people can actually hear the faults moving together like this. Before we have a large earthquake, usually people hear the earthquake coming. It happens. It happens a lot. Creepy Uncle is asking us, what about hurricane season? I talked about hurricane season earlier. Go back to the beginning of this video and watch it throughout when I talk about the hurricane season. I even show you two systems that could possibly grow. But scientists do not think that those systems will grow into a hurricane or not. Possibly not even a tropical storm. Okay? I talked to you about this earlier. Is anybody else having any questions about what I've talked about tonight? Don Patoka just had a quote here that I want to pass on by a man named Joel Skousen. Joel Skousen is a man I met a long time ago. He's a son of former Utah police chief, Cleon W. Skousen, or W. Cleon Skousen, excuse me. Knowledge will not save you your life unless you put it into action. This is why we've been showing you these earthquakes. Because it gives you information to help protect yourself so you can prepare for what's happening. We talked about fires yesterday. We've spent a huge amount of time talking about fires. We talked about earthquakes and volcanoes in the Pacific Northwest as well. Tonight we talked about Southern California. Tomorrow night we're going to talk extensively about the New Madrid Fault. Okay? Creepy Uncle is asking, did I talk about the bird flu? No, I did not. I'm going to tell you this. If the bird flu is real, and I don't believe it is, the people in power are trying to concoct another reason to lock us down. They're trying to concoct another reason to lock us down again. Just like they did for CV back in 2019-2020 period. Don't believe everything you're seeing. What you're hearing is a bunch of crap. What you are hearing about the bird flu is crap. Yes, they have tried to manufacture that flu. They've been talking about that flu since 2000. Since 2000, they've been talking about the bird flu. What if? What if? I was in Denver, part of a great, huge neighborhood area comprising about 15 square miles in any direction of downtown Denver. We talked about the bird flu. They were talking about if the bird flu then was going to happen in Denver, that they had a way to lock down individual neighborhoods. They had a way to lock down individual neighborhoods. They were talking about it back then. What is happening now 25 years later, 24 years later? The Democrat Communist Party is talking about the bird flu again. They're talking about taking the bird flu and having it applicable to all farm animals, hogs and cattle. So they have a reason to kill off our herds and our flocks. Just a few weeks ago, they had a huge fire that burned to death over 1.5 million chickens. Chickens have burned down. 1.5 million chickens at that farm that burned to the ground. They're trying to take meat off our tables. They're saying this bird flu could affect cattle and hogs, chickens and goats, birds of all kinds. They're saying it could flow into humans. And now they come up with a vaccine for it, the bird flu vaccine. I'm telling you right now, if they ask me to get the bird flu vaccine, I'm going to tell them to pack sand. No way in hell am I going to take the bird flu vaccine. It's all hyped up. It's the elites of the world that met in Davos, Switzerland earlier this year. They want to have complete control. They want to have all kinds of food put away in their bunkers in Switzerland so the elites can rule the world. They want to trim down the U.S. population by 10 to 15 million people. True story. I'm not going to buy it. And I don't think you should as well. It's a bunch of crap. The Democrat Communist Party here in the United States, including that idiot in power right now. It's a joke. It's a joke. In fact, yesterday Joe Biden had a political rally where he earned about $3.5 million. Donald Trump does that almost every day. But we saw a video of a stiff Joe Biden that could hardly move. He was supposed to be out there dancing on the dance floor, and he could hardly move. Then when it came time for him to give a speech, he gave a speech, but he could hardly move. Barack Obama had to come up on the stage and lead Joe Biden by the arm off stage. The puppet and the puppet master. What do you think's going on? We have a Democrat Communist Party trying to pull off their darndest to win another term, yet the man in charge can hardly move. What a joke. And now they're saying that they want to put Michelle Obama in charge because Obama can't take another term. But he surely could make Michelle or Michael run for president. Incredible. They're trying to lock up President Trump before July 11th, just days before the Republican National Convention. They're trying to put him up in Rikers State Penitentiary in New York. That's not going to stop him from being elected president. They're trying to put him in prison so they can say, look at the convicted felon that you guys want to elect. That's why they're doing it. That's why they're doing it. Don't be tricked into tomfoolery. If you want to get rid of this man in charge, do it. Take him down. Do not let him be elected again. I'm not saying to do any harm to him. I'm not saying that at all. But we can remove him from power. We can remove him from power. We must have rule over the ballot box. We cannot allow the Democrat Party to take down our ballot box system again. We cannot allow them to rule this election. We cannot allow them to rule this election. They should not ever have that kind of power over us again. Now, folks, before I leave tonight, I'm asking you to give us thumbs up. Thumbs up is one of the analytical factors that YouTube uses to tell other people about our channel. Our channel is growing leaps and bounds. This channel here is not just my channel, it's yours as well. The reason I want it to grow is not for me, but for all of you. That we can reach more and more people to tell them about what's happening. Not just about earthquakes, not just about fires, not just about floods and rain, not just about hurricanes. About everything. About everything going on. We talk a lot about everything that can possibly happen to us. We are the only YouTube channel that does this. We are the only YouTube channel that talks about things that will affect everybody. Why? Because we want everybody to be prepared for what's happening. That's why. That's always been the case. I've never been in it just for me. If you want to support this channel, after we're off the air, maybe about 10 minutes after we get off the air, go here and check in our program description, the verbiage beneath our video today. 10 minutes after we get off the air, check it. Because you're going to see 2 PayPal locations. You're also going to see what is going on with our channel. You're going to see our PayPal locations. You're going to find out how to join and be members of the YouTube community on Emergency Management Associates. Join us here. The least expensive is $1.99 a month, then it goes $2.99 and $3.99. I wanted to keep the amount low so everybody and anybody could afford to be members of this channel. Right now I'm having problems with this computer because YouTube has control over it. I'm going to meet with my computer specialist tomorrow morning. Hopefully he will solve this problem for me so I can use the computer instead of my tablet. That's what I'm doing right now. But I want to broadcast to you all so you will know what's going on. It's absolutely mandatory that we come on the air and tell you every day what's going on. We want you to know. That way you can prepare for what is happening to you here in the United States and everyone around the world. It's not just the United States anymore. We are a catalyst for what happens around the world. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here tonight. Before we leave, I want to leave you with some consolation. I want you to have some idea of a spiritual background. I want to leave you with something positive. Tonight I'm going over into Ephesians. I'm going to start with chapter 1, verse 10. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 10. That in the dispensation of the fullness of times he might gather together in one all things in Christ. Jesus Christ and our Heavenly Father gathering things together for everything involved with Jesus Christ, both which are in heaven and which are on the earth, even in Christ. That in the dispensation of the fullness of times he might gather together in one all things in Christ, both which are in heaven and which are on earth, even in him. Then, going on with verse 15. Wherefore I also, after I heard of your faith in the Lord Jesus and love unto all the saints, cease not to give thanks for you, making mention of you in my prayers, that the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of glory, may give unto you the spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of him. What's he talking about? Personal revelation from our Heavenly Father to each one of us. Personal revelation to each one of us from heaven. Continue on verse 18. The eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of his calling, and what the riches of the glory of his inheritance in the saints, and what is the exceeding greatness of his power to usward who believe, according to the working of his mighty power, which he wrought in Christ. Talking about our Heavenly Father here, which he wrought in Christ, when he raised him from the dead and set him at his own right hand in the heavenly place. Putting Christ on the right hand of God, his Father, far above all principality and power and might and dominion, and every name that is named, not only in the world, but also that which is to come, and have put all things under him, his feet, and gave him to be the head over all things in the church. We're talking about the power of God being instilled upon us and Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ being on the Father's right hand. That's great information. That is great information for each one of us. Christ being on the right hand of God. Us being able to receive personal revelation for our lives. We are responsible for our lives. We can pray to God to get more revelation for us and our families. We can pray to our Heavenly Father to help us. The Scriptures lead us to eternal life, brothers and sisters. You need to read the Scriptures. Read the Scriptures, for in them you'll find eternal life, and the eternal life is the greatest of all gifts of God. Fact. Brothers and sisters, please subscribe to this channel. If you have not already, subscribe to this channel, and when you do, click on that little bell icon. Click on the little bell icon, and then a drop-down menu of 3 items will come up. Click on the word ALL. That way you get notified when we come on the air. We come on the air between 6 and 7 every night, except on the nights that I'm very busy trying to still gather information. Then we come on the air just after 7. But most of the time it's between 6 and 7 p.m. every night. Brothers and sisters, I give you this information to help you. I share this information with each and every one of you to help you prepare for what's going on. I have a lot more political commentary to talk about, but I'm not going to do it tonight. We've already been on the air almost 3 hours. And I'm sorry about that. It's late here. It's after 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I know the Lord loves you as well. I testify in the name of Jesus Christ that the Lord lives. God lives. They hear and answer our prayers. I know this for a fact. I know this for a fact. I love you. I love each and every one. I love all of you mods. You folks are my dearest friends and my family. All of you are my family. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please, folks, please join our channel. Become members of our channel and help support us. Like I said, after I get off the air, within the first 10 minutes, I'll put up the program description, and you'll find 2 PayPal locations there. You'll also find our email address. You'll also find our postal address, where you can send us cards and letters and donations to our post office box as well. Please do that. We need your support to keep this program on the air. I love all of you. I love all of you. Please help us here. Please help us. God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. Take care, everybody. Much love. Much love. We'll talk to you soon. God bless. If anything else happens tonight, we'll be on the air as fast as we possibly can, as soon as the information becomes available. If not, we'll see you tomorrow evening. Good night, everybody. Much love.